Today on Rappler, the Catholic Bishops' Conference of the Philippines is not likely to help find a compromise reproductive health bill.
In my stint as a floor leader, this is the first time that I've seen a bill na talagang divided talaga ang members of the House. Ang magkakalaban sa floor are members of the majority coalition.
President Aquino supports the RH bill, but his own party remains divided. And former First Gentleman Aroyo wants Chief Justice Sereno to inhibit from his case in the Supreme Court. Hello, I'm Maria Ressa. Welcome to Rappler, your social news network. An official of the Catholic Bishops' Conference of the Philippines says bishops are not likely to participate in a proposed technical working group to draft a compromise RH bill in the House of Representatives. CBCP official Father Melvin Castro says Catholic bishops will not compromise their principles. He says the reproductive health bill is, quote, beyond redemption, and adds, our position is to reject the RH bill in its entirety. But RH bill advocates say the church should not have been invited in the first place. Public health analyst Marilen Dangilan says the church only promotes natural family planning and will not compromise its stand against contraceptives. The Filipino freethinker says the group should, quote, include representatives from other faiths and non-believers if it will include the CBCP. In its tweet, the group adds, if the technical working group can't contain representatives of all faiths and non-believers, then be secular and don't privilege the Catholic Church over others' beliefs. President Aquino supports the reproductive health bill, but his own political party can't seem to come together to support his stand. Like other members of the House Majority Coalition, the Liberal Party is divided. House Majority Leader Neptali Gonzalez says he hopes Aquino issues a stronger marching order because it may be the only way to break the impasse. But LP Secretary General June Abaya says it's difficult for Aquino to push harder because it involves religious beliefs.
Stint as a floor leader, this is the first time that I've seen a bill na talagang divided talaga ang members of the House. Ang magkakalaban sa floor are members of the majority coalition. Ang kalaban mo sa parliamentary tactics are also members of the Liberal Party. So mahirap mahirap talaga. Ako, I hope.
Hindi ko dinadahan-dahan din ni Presidente. Alam niya, hindi lang naman parang impeachment to. There are certain other non-political issues involved. So he has been very careful. Sa liberal naman, it's always consensual. We assess the environment.
The lower house temporarily shelved the RH bill to prioritize passing the government's 2 trillion peso budget. Gonzalez says there's still time to pass the RH bill until December, as long as House members can draft a compromise bill acceptable to all stakeholders. Former First Gentleman Mike Aroyo wants Chief Justice Maria Lourdes Sereno to inhibit from his case questioning the validity of a Department of Justice travel ban. In 2011, the DOJ barred Mr. Aroyo and his wife, former President Gloria Aroyo, from leaving the country. The Supreme Court has yet to rule on the matter. In a motion for prohibition, Aroyo says Sereno showed, quote, propensity for voting in favor of the administration. He cites her votes in the following cases. The Truth Commission, formed in 2010 to probe former President Aroyo. Sereno's dissenting vote in the issuing a temporary restraining order sought by then-Ombudsman Merceditas Gutierrez. The issuance of a TRO sought by the Aroyo couple. Her dissenting vote on a TRO that stopped the disclosure of former Chief Justice Renato Corona's dollar accounts, Sereno's vote for the release of court documents in Corona's impeachment trial, and her vote favoring a higher valuation for the Coancos in the distribution of the Hacienda Luisita to farmers. Environment Secretary Ramon Paez says waste leak from Philex Mining's Padcal mine in Benguet will not reach the San Roque Dam in Pangasinan. The dam is the source of the power and irrigation needs of Pangasinan, Nueva Ecija, and Tarlac. Paez says the silt from the tailings pond that threatened to reach the dam was trapped in the reservoir's dead storage. Incessant rains weakened the tailings pond, causing the leak. The House of Representatives passes the Domestic Workers Act, or the Kasambahay Bill. The bill tries to set new labor standards for about 2 million domestic helpers in the country. It provides them with a package of benefits, including increases in minimum wage, regular employment benefits, including 13th month pay, 14-day paid vacation, and maternity or paternity leave. The bill seeks to comply with international standards adopted by the International Labor Organization. The ILO says the Philippines is the second signatory to the Convention 189 on decent work for domestic workers. More Flabs CEO and co-founder Winston Damarillo is in the Philippines for Hack to Hatch entrepreneurship camp. He talks about the rich Filipino IT talent and how the country is ready to become a software industry leader in ASEAN.
So the educational system needs to be fixed. The other thing that we need to work on is actually an entrepreneurial ecosystem.
Correct.
Right. So we need to have an ecosystem that starts with idea makers, combination of idea and execution, financing that makes that execution a reality, and companies like, the conglomerates that would basically scale those ideas into industry. Asia, maybe ASEAN, we have an opportunity to be the leader. Right, the Filipinos are regarded as better technologists than most of our partners in ASEAN. We have a BPO sector that has driven our markets from a non-existent industry about 10 years ago to market leader, now even beating India call center.
We're number one now globally in BPO.
And now we're number one globally.
Yeah.
What we need to do is step that up. We need to move to the next sectors, non-voice BPO, to software, and eventually to building products here.
Well, let's now look at Rapplers Wrap for today, a list of the 10 most important events around the world you shouldn't miss. Former U.S. President Bill Clinton formally nominates Barack Obama for president at the Democratic National Convention in Charlotte, North Carolina.
I want to nominate a man who's cool on the outside, but who burns for America on the inside. I want a man who believes with no doubt that we can build a new American dream economy driven by innovation and creativity, by education, and yes, by cooperation. And by the way, after last night, I want a man who had the good sense to marry Michelle Obama.
Michelle Obama's speech was the highlight of the first night of the DNC, which reached nearly 4 million more viewers than the Republican National Convention on television, according to Nielsen. Now Obama faces off with Republican candidate Mitt Romney. At this stage, it's unclear who has the upper hand. At number 7, President Aquino's Executive Order number 79 is a compromise which seems to leave neither side happy. Shortly after it was signed, new investors announced delays in new projects. Why? The EO stops the grant of new mining contracts until legislative action on the Mining Act's revenue sharing scheme provision happens. The catch? It's unclear exactly when that will happen. Philex Mining Corporation, the country's biggest gold producer, quietly announced that the start of production at its gold-copper Silangan project in Surigao del Norte has been moved later to 2017. This follows an announcement by Swiss global miner Xstrata and local partner Sagittarius Mines that its target for commercial operations at its Tampakan mine in South Cotabato is delayed from 2016 to 2018. And at number 8, the September 12 expected launch of Apple's iPhone 5 has its competitors unveiling potential challengers 1 week ahead. Microsoft and Nokia joined together to launch their smartphone arsenal with 2 new Lumia handsets powered by Windows 8 software. Later on Wednesday, Motorola Mobility, bought by internet giant Google a year ago in a $12.5 billion deal, launches 3 powerful Android smartphones: Razr M, Razr HD, and Razr Hax HD. As the US Open heats up, crowd favorites from the men's tournament cash out one by one. American Andy Roddick bids goodbye to tennis after losing to 7th-seeded Argentinian Juan Martín del Potro. Last week, he announced his retirement after 12 years in the sport, saying this would be his last tournament. Roddick is the last American man to win a Grand Slam event when he won the US Open in 2003. Meanwhile, Swiss legend and world #1 Roger Federer's dream to become the first man in over 8 decades to win 6 US Opens was cut short by Czech Thomas Berdych. Six-seeded Berg downs Federer in 4 sets, handing the 17-time Grand Slam winner his earliest exit from the tournament in 9 years. Federer won his 7th Wimbledon title earlier in June. For the full top 10, visit Rappler.com's The Wrap. Senate Majority Leader Tito Soto does it again, this time copying words and ideas of Robert Kennedy, except this time he translated English to Filipino. In mid-August, Soto plagiarized an American blogger for the first part of his speech against the reproductive health bill. On Wednesday, Soto delivered the final part of his speech, moments after Twitter user Michelle LD accuses Soto of using parts of a speech by Kennedy in Filipino. The discovery goes viral on Twitter, where users coined the term Sinoto. #Sinoto. Social media users take famous quotes, translate them in Filipino, and attribute them to the senator. Twitter user Miguel Lizada translates a line from Karen Carpenter's Close to You, "Bakit lumalabas ang mga ibon tuwing nandyan ka?" Karen Carpent Soto. While Leron Martija cites a famous quote from Star Wars and attributes it to Soto. "Luke, ako tatay mo, Darth Soto." Soto denies he plagiarized, asking, "Can Kennedy speak Filipino?" Soto says he doesn't know where the text of his speech came from, but says he used them because the ideas were good. Senator Ferdinand Marcos Jr. describes the plagiarism issue as, quote, "a storm in a teapot that should not concern the Senate." He doubts if Soto committed plagiarism by translating parts of Kennedy's speech. Marcos says some phrases have entered the general lexicon of the English language and no longer need attribution. Every story on Rappler has its own mood meter, which has 8 emotions for you to choose from. Click on a mood and your vote will go to the front page, to the Mood Navigator, which is in the center of the front page. The Mood Navigator will take the top 10 stories with the most number of hits and take the emotion that has gotten the most number of votes. If you take a look today, 7 out of the 10 stories have to do with the RH bill. The last story on the RH bill we read, #Sinoto. Soto translated Kennedy's speech, 83% angry, 7% annoyed, 8% amused. And why are people angry? Let's look at some of the quotes. Pwede naman kasing, this is from Raquel Acaria, wrote, "Pwede naman kasing i-quote na lang niya si Kennedy at sabihin sa ating sariling wika, bakit pa nagpa-inaring kanya?" 83% angry. Going to the mood of the day. Today, most people are angry. Well, that's Rappler's Newscast for today, Thursday, September 6, 2012. Visit Rappler.com and watch our newscast Monday to Friday. Tell us how you feel on our mood meter and help us crowdsource the mood of the day. I'm Maria Ressa. As we say at Rappler, tomorrow begins today.